So I think it's helpful for beginners in Greek when they're learning pronunciation to start by understanding at least something about the mid to late classical vowel system as it existed in Athens at the time. My name is Stephen. I've been teaching ancient Greek for over 25 years, and I hope this helps you understand this language. So why Athens? Why Attic Greek? And why the mid to late classical period? Well, there are lots of reasons to study different dialects of ancient Greek, but Attic is a really good place to start, and it's probably the most common. It's the ancestral dialect of Koine, which is the widespread common dialect of the late Hellenistic period in the Roman Empire. And it is something that just is sort of a standard. It doesn't mean you have to start there, and it doesn't mean it's the best kind of Greek, but it's where a lot of folks start with. So why the mid to late classical period? It's not because I valorize that period particularly, or I have some kind of fetish for the classical period. My own scholarly interests are actually in much later Greek, and my own aesthetic interests lean more towards both those late texts and also really early texts and a lot of dialectal texts. So it's not about me thinking that classical Athens is the best. It's just in 403 BCE, the Athenians reformed their spelling, and that was the basis for all subsequent standardization of the writing system of Greek down to today. The modern Greek alphabet is essentially the same alphabet. So I'm going to take you through roughly half of the simple vowel system. Simple means plain, unmixed vowels. So I'm not talking about diphthongs. I'm not talking about combinations of vowels, just the straightforward system. So the anchor words here for us in English, in my dialect of English anyway, are going to be mood and need. And mood and need are going to give us two of the vowels right off the bat. Mood is the vowel in classical Attic that is written with an omicron upsilon digraph. U and E in need is a long iota. And you can make a short iota by simply saying not need in English, but neat in English, because in English we tend to shorten vowels before unvoiced sounds like a T. So before voiced, need, that's a long iota, neat, that's a short iota. Now with those sounds, those are the anchor sounds, and by anchor sounds I mean need is in the very front of the mouth, and it is also at the very top of the mouth. Your tongue is in a really high position in your mouth when you say it, and the same thing is true of the oo sound. It's just in the back, but you also have a really high tongue position. So E and oo, need and mood. E, long iota, oo, omicron upsilon. Neat, short iota. Now, go back to the oo sound, and if you say oo and you keep your mouth in almost the same position, you're just going to drop your tongue a tiny bit in the back. But if you keep that oo position and pronounce an O, mood, o, moat, moat, like say moat, the word moat, but say it with moving your tongue as little as possible. So mood, moat, that O, that little O, very high in the mouth, but not as high as oo, that is an omicron. And so it's a short sound, O, and there you go. Now, the rest of the vowels that I'm going to take you through right now are just two, and they're upsilons. So we have a long upsilon and a short upsilon. So we're going to go back to that mood, moo, keep your mouth in that position, your lips rounded, and your tongue high, moo. But instead of saying oo, you're going to keep your mouth in that position, but you're going to say e, So if you say need, nude, that sound, that is a long upsilon. If you shorten it, if you say neat in that way, newt, that is a short upsilon. So you now know half of the classical Attic vowel system. The reason why I start folks off this way is not because I expect them to pronounce it this way. I don't actually pronounce in daily practice. If I'm being careful, I can use this pronunciation system, but my own system of pronunciation was developed when I was a student. I was taught by people, including people from other countries, so my accent in ancient Greek is not particularly consistent with classical vowels for the most part. But one reason why I do like to start folks off this way is because the reason that this is a really good place to start is because this is the period in time when Greek sounded the most like it is spelled. So if you want to understand why the writing system is the way that it is, what the Athenians did in that 403 BCE reform of spelling is they had all these changes had started happening in the Attic dialect, and the writing system didn't really reflect how the language was actually sounding particularly well. So they reformed it. So in 403 BCE, you've got kind of the moment where writing and sounds match most closely. Of course, Attic Greek continued to change all the way into modern Greek pronunciation. So it's just a snapshot in time, but if you understand it, it helps you understand various things about spelling and other things. But if you can keep these sounds distinct, both in length, long, and short, but also the quality of the vowels, how you say them, this allows you to avoid some common pitfalls when you are starting Greek. So for instance, for many people, oo, the omicron upsilon sound, they say an upsilon the same way. So something like sus sounds the same thing as sus to them, but they're two different words. Sus and sus, so a long upsilon in that second word. And similarly, if you can keep sounds distinct by length, and that's way harder for English speakers to do, you can tell the difference between the vowels in a word like su, short upsilon, versus sus, long upsilon.